Republican lawmakers are calling for change tonight in response to the murder of a woman on a Charlotte train last month.
They say once they head back into session in just a few weeks, they're going to create legislation that's tougher on crime. CBS 17 investigative reporter Mary Smith is joining us live. And you heard from lawmakers today, and now you're digging deeper into what they are proposing.
That's right. Everything is still being drafted, but they talked about addressing cashless bond and also increasing training for magistrates.
We must take crime and violence seriously, and our law and legal processes must reflect that seriousness. That means we will fight back against soft on crime policies that permeate our judicial system.
Senator Phil Berger and House Speaker Destin Hall say they plan to introduce legislation once they head back to session later this month. While nothing is concrete yet, they say they will propose a package of policies that address issues surrounding crime in North Carolina.
We need to keep repeat offenders in jail. We need to end cashless bond. We need to hold, or cashless bail. We need to hold activist judges and magistrates accountable. I personally am looking into ways to restart the death penalty here in North Carolina.
We're also going to look at dealing with issues when folks are charged with crimes who have obvious mental health issues, making sure that magistrates are taking that into consideration.
This new focus on crime is in response to the murder of 23-year-old Irina Zarutska. DeCarlos Brown Jr. is accused of stabbing her to death on a commuter train in Charlotte last month. The crime has ignited a debate about safety, mental health, and scrutiny over his criminal history. In January, he was charged with misuse of 911, but he was released on written promise that he'd appear for his next court date. Many are questioning that decision because Brown has a history of arrests and convictions, including 2 violent felonies.
What happened in this situation was an individual who could have been given a secured bond, meaning they would have had to have paid some amount of money in order or get a bond to get out of jail. And this person, instead of being required to do that, was allowed to sign a piece of paper and walk out of that jail.
In response to today's press conference, Senate Democratic leader Sidney Batch released a statement saying, quote, "I can think of no greater tribute of the life of Irina Zarutska than to make sure that what happened to her isn't allowed to happen again. That starts with making real investments in local public safety and mental health." And House Democratic leader Robert Reeves also released a statement saying, in part, "I'm willing to work across the aisle to forge a consensus if we are serious about real solutions." We also reached out to Governor Josh Stein's office. A representative said, in part, "This tragedy has brought up real concerns about safety in our communities. That's why Governor Stein urged Mayor Lyles to surge law enforcement and security measures on public transit." That statement went on to say Governor Stein is advocating for funding to recruit and retain law enforcement and to train judges and magistrates on, quote, "best practices for setting release conditions for defendants with mental illness."
And for those complete statements, head over to CBS17.com. Live in Raleigh, Mary Smith, CBS 17 News.
All right, Mary, thank you.